Okay, don't know if I was recording or not, but as I was saying, I'm replacing my master cylinder in 2005 GMC Sierra 2500. For some reason, the camera shut off, but kind of the story of my life. As I was saying, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to do everything as cheaply as possible because I'd rather use all my money to pay for the mortgage and food on the table than this kind of stuff. Even though I did buy, well, this is about a year in the making, actually, all these parts. So it's not like I just ran out and bought these parts. 90% of this stuff is from Amazon. The fluid extractor is from Amazon. The brake booster is from Amazon. A lot of the tools are from Amazon, as well as Harbor Freight, as well as Home Depot. I'm using Husky ratchets because why not? They're good. I have no problem with them. Okay, I think I got all the fluid pretty much extracted out of here. Maybe do one more suck section. But as I was saying, I had a lot of issues with the truck for the last 8 years. Brake lines, fuel pump, radiator, knock sensors. I went through 8 pair of knock sensors to find out it wasn't the knock sensors to begin with. It was the ECM that was bad. Dealership actually found that one out after having my truck for 3 weeks. That was a nice $5,000 bill. And every time they coded a new ECM, for some reason it would fail. And lo and behold, I had to pay every time the ECM failed, which I thought was kind of messed up. So I paid for 3 ECMs. I don't know if they were new, used, whatnot. But, finally after $5,000, that was just from the dealership. That doesn't even include what I paid myself for knock sensors and the other shop for knock sensors. So, yeah, that was fun. What else did I do? I don't even remember I did because I've done a lot to this truck, but I love the truck. It's my baby, and I'll do whatever I can to keep her running. Even though I named the truck Mac, I still call it a her. I don't know. Maybe it's short for Maxine. I don't know. But anyways, put the cap back on so nothing gets in there. Okay, next, I got cheap line wrench. The brand is, Harbor Freight Pittsburgh. I didn't even know that. I've had these for ages. So that is a 14 millimeter to crack open side of the brake line here, which really shouldn't be pretty easy to break open because, well, realistically, brake lines were replaced, I'd say 5 years ago. And then since then, there's probably been about 300 miles put on the truck. Most of the miles, actually, that was another thing I had to do, was emissions testing in our county. And it failed every single possible emissions thing. And just like every other thing, I didn't want to take it to the shop. So I started doing emission stuff myself. And I did everything, all the lines, the different valves and everything that's underneath there. I replaced charcoal canister. I replaced everything. I bought a smoke machine, did smoke tests, and finally got it. So my meter said it would pass emissions. And I go to the emissions, and lo and behold, it fails. So I was like, the heck with it. Went to the dealership, had them look it over. Well, of course, they said it was one of my new parts. one of the valves by the fuel filler neck. That was bad, even though it was brand new from Amazon, and I tested it and it worked fine. And of course, they threw it out, so I couldn't even return it to Amazon. It was a genuine GM part that I bought off Amazon. It wasn't, well, I mean, according to Amazon, it was a genuine GM part, but it looked like it was genuine. I think I paid like $69 for the purge valve. I guess that's the name for it. Yeah. I ended up paying, it was like $476 just for their purge valve, and not including their labor for diagnostics and install. So that was another, I don't know, $1,400. So this truck probably has 8,000 put into it in the last 3 or 4 years. And that's why I said, I mean, besides the fact I love the truck, it's in great condition for the most part. I mean, I do have new fenders to put on just because it's like where the mud flaps would go, it's kind of rotting around that area. And the wheel arches, I put cheap eBay fender flares on just to kind of hide the rust. But I figure sometime I'll learn myself how to paint. And I got the fenders a couple years ago. Had an inheritance from my aunt that passed away, so bought a whole bunch of stuff for different vehicles and a Viver portable spray booth and stuff. So I got fenders, and so one day I'll do that, make a video of that, and as well as teach myself to weld, because I got rockers and cab corners that I've had for about 10 years now. I had a friend that was going to help me, and never got done. So I teach myself how to weld, which I've had a welder for almost 20 years now. But it doesn't mean I know how to weld, just because I have a welder. And technically I have 2 welders. I have a Miller-Matic, 160 or something, as well as the Vulcan Omni Pro 220, I think it is. Okay, I'm going to need to get a pick, I think, to open up that clip to get that sensor out. I guess that's a brake fluid level sensor, I'm going to call it. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, well, I'll keep working on it until it does work. Because regardless, it'll be cheaper this way than going to a dealer or a shop or whatnot. Except for that whole knock sensor part. But we won't go there. I was going to do I bought the kit to relocate the knock sensors and stuff, but just every little thing with the stupid emissions, they check over everything, and I figured it wasn't worth the chance or whatever to, have them say, oh, it's not factory, whatever, and I was like, whatever. Okay. So, I got the brake lines removed. The master cylinder is making a mess all over that paper towel. So I'm going to grab another catch bin pan thingamajiggers. So I can dump that in there. I'm sure many of you would probably say you'd be done by now. Well, like I said, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But I just figure if I can do it, you guys can do it. I have really no automotive experience other than I used to install car audio, alarms, and remote starters. So that's my experience with working on vehicles. So I know under dash electronics, a lot of wiring, you know. The one thing everybody seems to hate is wiring and stuff, and that's like the one thing I at least used to love. Now not so much when you got a bad back from being in weird positions for 20 years. But besides doing that, there's a lot of handyman stuff, helping my dad out with odds and end jobs for his friends and neighbors and stuff. Okay, that's one 15 millimeter. And there's one more way on the other side. That's one thing. I have a body lift on the truck, if you couldn't tell. Makes it easier for some things. Knock sensors made it super easy to get the intake off. But some things makes it hard because the engine's down so far low. So you really gotta reach up there. Going to this a couple weeks ago. Like I said, I had a lot of storm damage. We had, up here in Wisconsin, it was literally 70-some degrees one day. And the next day, we had a blizzard. And then during that blizzard, it took down a tree limb that was literally the size of a tree. It was about a 40-foot tree limb. And it landed itself against another pine tree next to it. And I was ready to fall in the house. So I had to, fortunately, find a company that would be willing to remove that for me. That was $2,500 for that. That was expensive. So that took a lot of my viewing money and stuff. Well, I don't have any viewing money. I'm not getting compensated for any of this because I'm a new channel. So the more you watch, the more you listen to me, the better my chance of being compensated, where I can actually bring you better videos. And also bring some entertainment, because I do like to crack jokes, even though they're not funny. Here I'm cutting a wire tie for my 0 gauge wire. It's 1-0 or 0-1 or whatever. For my amplifiers, I got 2 JL Audio amplifiers under the rear seat with 0 gauge going to them. And then the green wires for my tack for the remote start. Okay. Master cylinder is out. It's actually quite heavy, so it still must have quite a bit of fluid in there. Either that or the cheap Amazon one is that much lighter? I don't know. I guess they're about the same weight. Somewhat. Definitely look different though. Uh-oh. Let's just see here. Well, I'm going to pause it right there because I think I have the wrong master cylinder. That's the bad part about when you buy stuff in November, December, and now we're April, and you cannot send stuff back. But at least now I have it removed so I can find out. So I'll do some more research and I'll get back to you shortly. Thanks a lot. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Part 2 will be coming soon. Okay, I was right. I got the wrong brake booster. This is the brake booster that came out of my truck. This is the Dorman one that I bought. So you can see the plunger part is way different. Even though this is the model, if I went on, I went on Dorman's website, and this is the model they said fit for my truck. So luckily I did not do a bench bleed yet. So I have a new one coming in the morning, and we'll continue on. It just goes to show you that if you're going to buy something 6 months in advance, make sure it works. But otherwise, everything looks identical minus the little plunger part. So website said it was going to fit. So unfortunately, I'm out that money. But heck, I guess that's what eBay's for, a marketplace, huh? Try to sell it and recuperate some of the money. Welcome back to the channel. It is a new day. Sun is shining. We just had some storms roll through. Got my new part straight off of Amazon, straight from China. It's a A1 Auto brand. Original one was a Dorman, which normally Dorman products are good, but I even verified on the website today, and it still says that the one that I bought was for my truck, and well, it is not. The plunger that goes into the brake booster is actually, well, the one that Dorman has was 3/4 of an inch, and the factory one is I'd say almost a good 2 inches. So it's definitely a different size. Just getting my bleeder hoses on the new cylinder here. Sorry for you not be able to see anything but the inside of my engine compartment. But yeah, this part here on the Dorman is maybe 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch, and well, obviously this one is the size of the factory one. And so I emailed Dorman. They emailed me back. They wanted to verify all the specs of my truck. Well, no offense, I've had the truck for 21 years. I think I know what it is. So I had to tell them the year, make, model, engine size, bed length. He wanted to know the trim package. And I was like, yeah, I typed all that into your website, and it gave me 2 options, and both options has the small, I don't even know what you call that, plunger? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that the brake pedal part pushes into there to push the plunger in and out. So obviously if you have a small one, it ain't gonna work. I mean, I don't know. But we'll see. So first we'll get these screws back in here, or bolts, or nuts. That's what you want to call them, nuts on the stud. As I'm ready to fall off of my step stool bench here. It's one thing I'm sure that different brands, I don't know what brand this is. I think it's a Gorilla brand. Yeah, I think I got it from Lowe's. They should make these things a little wider so they're a little bit more stable. If you know of any wider ones, leave it in the comment. I mean, this one here is probably, I don't know, 10, 12 inches wide. I mean, my foot's wider than this thing is. Be kind of nice to have something that's, I don't know, 18, 20, 24 inches wide. Something with a little bit more stability. I fall enough the way it is. I don't need any help. I hate putting a cheaper brand on my truck, but even if it works for a few years, I'm fine with that, to tell you the truth. Then I'll get AC Delco, they're not even almost a name brand anymore, but, I'll get an AC Delco or a Delphi or something like that. I prefer having brand name in my truck. I don't like to buy I don't mind China stuff or tools, but as far as components, I like to buy original. My alternator is a factory one. It's the AC Delco. That sucker was expensive, and yeah, we won't go there. Okay, so we are set here. It's mounted. Boy, is the factory one that loose? Factory one don't move at all. That figures. Well, it's not like I'm going to be going off-roading. So let me get some brake fluid. Stick that in there. I've never, like I said, I've never done a master cylinder before. I don't know what to expect. I know, I've heard, I can't say I know. They say you can break bench bleed, vice bleed, or whatever, bench bleed, I guess, the master cylinder. I'm gonna bring it over. But I've also seen online where they said, don't waste your time bench bleeding it, that you can do it right in the truck. Save the hassle and stuff. And personally, that's right up my alley. Why do it twice? Because of my luck, I bring it over and spill everything. Speaking of spilling, I think I better get a funnel. I'm sure some of you guys can pour it in there and not get a drop of brake fluid anywhere. Well, that's not me. I would basically do the opposite. I'd pour it everywhere and get a drop of fluid in the container. Okay. Put this down on the floor so I can kick it and have brake fluid all over the floor. Get that in there. Now, supposedly, I'm sure a lot of you guys know exactly what to do. Well, like I said, I'm doing this on the cheap because I don't have the money. Plus, I want you guys to find out that if I can do it, you guys can do it too. That's the name of the game, is trying to save everybody a little bit of money here. So you stick the two hoses in there for your front and rear brakes. Then you slowly start pumping the brakes to let the air bubbles out. I thought I had soft brakes before. I can imagine what they feel like now. If only I had a giant mirror. can kind of see the hose through the cowl part of the hood. I don't know. I'll pump them like 20, 30 times probably. I mean, I can see air bubbles coming through. I guess it's probably easier also pumping it with your foot instead of just standing here with my hand, a couple fingers pushing on it. But this way I can at least see what I'm doing. Another thing I gotta do is change my brake pads in the front. I have power stop pads and rotors because I used to tow a lot of this, and that's how I found out I had bad calipers. Is the inside pads were pretty much gone, and once again I ordered pads off Amazon. Well, they sent me the wrong pads, even though the description says those correct. So I put, I think I had some cheapies I had up in the cabinet. I think they're from Napa or Advanced Auto or AutoZone or somewhere. They're used, I don't know if they're metallic, semi-metallic, or whatever. So I threw them on there just so I had brake pads. Then I bought the correct power stop ones, so I'll throw those on. You know, some things I'll skimp about. Brakes. Sorry, I like to stop. I've driven to the I can't say parts store. I've driven to the shop with no brakes when I had to get the brake lines done. But as far as having the brakes fail on the road, luckily I have not had to deal with that. Still got quite a bit of air in here. Make sure both tubes are in the fluid so I'm not sucking air. Yeah, that's in the fluid. That's definitely in the fluid. Okay. Well, my 30 pumps, it's definitely going to turn into a lot longer. I mean, to me, this is a lot easier than bench bleeding because I can't imagine sticking it in my vise and then trying to stick a tip of a screwdriver in there and pushing. I don't see any more bubbles. How about you guys? I think I'm good. I'll do like 3 more pumps just to be sure. Oh, there's a bubble. Ah, my calf is just killing me. Holy cow. I mean, I got a 4-inch lifted truck and it's on jack stands because I have the tires off. So it's probably a 6-inch lifted right now. Standing here with the door open with my leg on the pedal. Whew. There you go. I'm not as nimble as I used to be. I don't think I was ever that nimble, to tell you the truth. I have my limits, that's for sure. Okay, so I'll get myself another drain pan out of the storage area of my garage here so I could throw those tubes somewhere without throwing them on the floor and making a mess on my floor. Got my nice epoxied floor down. I don't want to start messing it up. So one thing with epoxy floors, go gray. I was trying to be fancy and went with well, it's supposed to be red. It's more of a burgundy, but man, it makes it dark in the garage. That is for sure. My other garages have had gray, and it reflects the light, I guess you'd say. Not absorbing it. I'll show you guys a shop tour, a garage tour, whatever you want to call it, sometime down the road here. I like to have my garage a little clean before I start showing it off, and it's anything but clean right now. So I guess before I take off my one hose, I'll make sure I got the one line ready to put on. So, hello, where'd you go? Okay. I don't want to be dumping fluid all over the place. Okay. Now, how am I supposed to get my fingers down there? Got this little device thingy to help maintain the battery. It gives like pulses to the battery, because I don't drive this truck, like I said, a lot. So it's supposed to give short little pulses to the battery. Don't know if it works or not, or it's just a gimmick or what, but it sounded cool. But of course now it's in the way. So let's see if I can find myself an adjustable wrench. So one of the things, I got two garages, like I said, on a different video at least, and slowly getting both garages stocked full of tools, which originally I wasn't planning on having this garage have many tools. It was just supposed to be, whatever I need to service my dually in this truck. But now, man, I gotta take two fully stocked garages full of tools, which is nice, but obviously it got very expensive. And kind of got to figure out which garage I want to have the good tools in, and which garage do I have I can't say not good, but the cheaper, less expensive tools. Do I have the big garage, which is this garage? It's almost 40 feet deep, but it's only 19 feet wide. Or do I have my other garage, which is more of the working garage? That's 25 by 25, but that has the big 80-gallon air compressor and not so pretty of a floor anymore because the salt from the roads kind of destroyed the epoxy. So I was like, which garage do I use for the better tools? Plus I have friends coming over, and frankly, I'd rather have my friends use the non-expensive tools than my expensive tools, because they don't care. I take care of my stuff, and 99% of my tools I had to buy myself by either working, saving up for it, or selling stuff to pay for it. The only thing that was given to me for tools was either from my father or my grandfathers. And most of those I won't use anyways. I got some old Craftsman sockets from my grandpa. Couldn't tell you how old they are. They're just, I know they're old. At least 40, 50 years old, I'm assuming. Because he passed away in the 80s, and I've had him ever since then. My other grandpa, he was a farmer, but kind of like me, somebody that tries to tinker a little bit of everything. I don't get much from him. I got a pair of side cutters, I got a tape measure, some odds and ends, like some squares, Not really a lot from him. When he passed, they kind of ransacked his barn and garage and kind of took all the tools that they wanted right away. Which kind of upset my dad. Which, totally agree, I would too. I'd be upset. And the family farm is literally right next door. And my dad still got the short end of the stick. Speaking about the short end of the stick, how am I supposed to get down there? It's one of the things, these older vehicles are a lot easier to work on because you can get to everything relatively easier than, obviously, the newer vehicles. Newer vehicles, you have these panels all over the place and everything's just crammed in there, but still, I mean, I don't have monkey paws, but still like to be able to get in there. Okay. Let's see if I can get this started here with my fingers so I don't have to do 3 million reps of the line wrench. So one thing about brake fluid, it's not as bad as isopropyl or something, but you find every cut. And no offense, if I'm not falling, breaking a bone or something, I can pretty much guarantee I'm cutting myself somewhere. Got a big cut on one of my knuckles the other day. Not a clue where it came from. Probably a piece of dust blew from the wind and sliced my hand or something, I don't know. And it's not like I have baby soft hands by any means. They're definitely calloused because, like I said, I work for a living. I'm probably not as hard as a lot of you guys, but I still work. Okay, so now, catch my breath here. As far as bleeding the brakes, I do have my wife to come and pump the brakes, but I bought a Motive power bleeder thingy last year, and I'm going to try it. Guess first see if the cap fits on here. That'll be the deciding factor whether or not I actually do it or not. Okay, they gave this weird grommet thing. I guess it's like a gasket that goes in there. I don't know why they couldn't have put that on there from the factory, but whatever. Okay. Now let's see if it fits on there tight. Okay. Come on. I think we're on. Okay. Okay, so now I guess you gotta fill up Mr. Brake Bleeder Pump Belator 5000 with brake fluid, huh? Oh. And they've had a hose on there that's been wrapped around the handle for God knows how many years when this thing was manufactured. I was trying to work with a snake. Okay. Some more brake fluid here. Good thing I bought 2 bottles. I got some more in my other garage, but I wanted to use new brake fluid because somewhere I read that once the cap's open, I know it evaporates like brake fluid, but I guess also it degrades once the cap is open, once it gets air to it. Don't know if it's true or not, but like I said, when it comes to brakes, it's kind of funny. Like I said, when it comes to brakes, that's one thing I don't mess around with. Even though I'm doing it myself to save money. But I'm not taking shortcuts or anything, so I guess there's a difference there. Like I said, I use, well, minus the master cylinder, I use all, I can't say top of the line products, but reputable products. But no offense, A1 Auto, I've used their stuff before. It's not like they're bad. Okay, so I got my Motiv brake bleeder thingy. Yeah. They should have put quick disconnects or something now. To connect the hose from one to the other because they're threaded. So I guess thread this in there. Hopefully I don't need any Teflon tape. I don't know. Guess I'll get another adjustable wrench so I can tighten that up a little snugger. Apologize that you guys aren't being able to see a lot. I don't have a fancy crew member to walk around with the camera. Here, I'll adjust it here so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. So, just want to snug up these two guys. Don't need brake fluid all over my truck. Like I said, a quick disconnect I think would have been a good thing to have. I mean, I know they have them for fluids because they got quick disconnects for the quick jack, which I'd love to have one of those. I love to have a lift, but there's no room in the lift. I only got a 5-inch slab and I only got a 10-foot ceiling, so having a lift is out of the question. So I'd love to have a quick jack. And last time I was on their website, I saw they make one, it's 8,000 pound, which would be awesome for pickup trucks. Problem is I also have a car. My wife has a car and a Jeep. And so I don't know what to do about those two. Unless you get 2 different quick jacks. You can see there, I guess you're supposed to pump it up to 15 PSI, which is right in the middle. Okay. I got this tight. Yeah. Well, we're pumping fluid in. Which I guess is a good thing. Anything dropping as far as pressure? I'm only at like 2 PSI, but The one thing I don't know about this thing is I'm assuming it's going to fill up the complete master cylinder. So I'd assume after you bleed your brakes, you have to take a bunch of fluid out, you know. Okay, I'm not gaining anything here. Okay. I go fast. I used to have a different brand, one that hooked up the air compressor. I was used when I got off eBay. Sold it a few years ago because I was like, I didn't want to screw around always having to adjust my pressures on the air compressor, you know? I mean, my air compressor is set at 120 PSI. I suppose I could have just thrown in a regulator, but still. Man, but now, after seeing this, wow. They need a longer throw on this arm. I'm up to a whopping 10, and I'm out of breath. This is ridiculous. Let's see, is anything leaking out of here? Everything seems tight still. Okay, we're almost there. That's close enough. It's like 14.9. Okay. Oh, okay. So, you might want to close your eyes because I'm going to take you for a ride around the garage here so I can get... Something's making a noise here. And it just blew off. Wonderful. Brake fluid everywhere. Yep. That worked good, huh? You almost have to laugh at my... Oh, hello. Brake fluid's full. And I'm fluid all over. Oh, all over my camera. So what does brake fluid do to camera equipment, huh? Don't want to find out. Yeah, remember what I said about my nice clean floor? Well, okay. I don't know if I used the bleeder, or whatever you want to call it, wrong, but it didn't hold. That's for sure. So I'm going to clean up a lot of brake fluid that's dripping all over my truck right now. So I'll get back to you guys. Okay, welcome back to the House of Horrors. Got most of the brake fluid cleaned up, I think. I think I'm going to try to just gravity bleed. Yeah. Because, well, I'm not very impressed with that Motive brake bleeder tool thing. I don't think it's supposed to explode. At least that's just my thoughts. Let's dump out this pan here of the original brake fluid. Could never have too many drain pans in my house. I didn't want to originally do the drip method thingy because it's messy. But I had to put on a new bleeder screw the other day because the original one, there was no threads left for the socket to grab. Using one of those new, well, they're not new anymore, I guess, so Craftsman Overdrive, I think that's what they're called. Sure. I don't feel like running over to the box to look. The new Craftsman wrenches that supposed to grab on the strip bolts and stuff. I'm impressed. I got so many different brands of sockets, it's ridiculous. That was the only socket that actually broke it free. So, my hat's off to Craftsman on that. I was quite impressed. I've never gravity bled before. I've bled, but not gravity bled. So I'm not sure how long you're supposed to bleed it for. But speaking of bleeding, well, I'm not bleeding. I gotta wash my hands because they're all full of brake fluid. So I apologize if you guys hear the sink going. I guess that's one way to clean the garage floor, though, is a bunch of brake fluid and then a couple cans of brake cleaner. That shines up the floor real good, as long as the epoxy doesn't decide to lift on me. Speaking of brake cleaner, since I'm in the back of the storage room here, grab another can of brake cleaner. But you guys don't need to watch, obviously, the brake bleeding process or the gravity. Basically, you just go to each, well, in the back wheel cylinder and the front caliper. I'm going to let it drip for, I don't know, 10 minutes. Get some of that old fluid through. And then go to the next one, and so on and so forth. Okay, we are back. Brakes are bled. Had to have my wife come and help me. The gravity bleed was taking way too long. I didn't have that much patience to do gravity bleed anymore. So, did it the old-fashioned way. Got the motive bleeder there. The back wheel cylinders, I needed to have new bleeders put on there, so didn't record that because you don't want to hear me swearing and crying and all that stuff. That took a while to get those boogers out. They were stripped, and well, they're original. They're 20-some years old, so. But there's the new cylinder. I got most of the brake fluid, I think, cleaned up. I just gotta add some more fluid to that after bleeding it, but had to use a scan tool to bleed to the ABS. Had to do that, so I bled it the old-fashioned way. Use a scan tool, bled it again, but it worked. Like I said, this is not necessarily a how-to video. It's kind of a how-to not, but just to show you that if you have some of the tools and the willpower, you can do it yourself. You know, as far as tools, I literally used two sockets, 15 millimeter and 8 millimeter for the bleed, and that was it. I used the line wrench, which is a 14 millimeter for these guys down here. Other than that, I mean, okay, so 3 wrenches, and you need a scan tool that can obviously bleed ABS. That's one of the major things. If you don't have one, you can rent one at your local parts supply store. They usually rent them out for free. And some brake fluid. and a heck of a lot of paper towels if you're me. I went through 2 rolls of paper towels and brake cleaner. But yeah, I'm sorry if this wasn't, like I said, not necessarily a how-to video, just more for entertainment, because I like to talk to myself when I work in my vehicle, so this way I'm also working and talking with you guys. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. If you have any comments, especially on what I did wrong, especially with the bleeder, the Motive bleeder tool, pressure thing. Don't know why that didn't work. Maybe I just didn't have the cap on tight enough, but if you guys ever use that, let me know in the comments. That's it for today. Next time, we'll see what else I can get into trouble with. Thanks for watching.